So, there is a recent update regarding Courtney Tailor. We have been covering this story since it happened 4 months ago. Just a refresher recollection. I can't say this guy's name. Toby, let's just say his name is Toby for short. His name is christianobumseli. He is a Nigerian American young man. I believe he was 27 years old and he was dating his luscious snow bunny. And there was a huge amount of controversy surrounding Toby because he, while he was in his high school years, I think a decade prior to his passing, he posted a lot of horrible things and just derogatory things about his fellow black women. I believe that Mr. Christian Toby didn't really like himself, like the black community that he came from, unfortunately. And sometimes in the Nigerian culture and Nigerian community, that come directly from Nigeria, they tend to not like the black American. And I believe, in my opinion, my theory is that he was raised in a family that possibly could have taught him to not associate with the black American and to be more associated with the white community to show their prominence and disassociation from the black community. He would use a lot of terms such as akata, which is a derogatory term for black American people. So that's just kind of a brief summary of the controversy surrounding him. So there was a big uproar in the black community, especially with a lot of black women, understandably enough, that said, we're not going to protest for this man. Well, I, have a lot of empathy for him, considering the fact that he passed away. It's very sad. Regardless of the controversy surrounding him, he is still a human being, and he should be here, and his life was tragically ended because of his own preferences. And now justice is, although the wheels were turning very slowly, he is going to be on his way to getting justice. Courtney Tailor was in Hawaii, and she was at a rehab facility recently getting treatment and also getting treatment for allegedly PTSD. Well, while she was in her rehab, authorities came and arrested her for his murder. So looks like the authorities are going to be pursuing charges, and this is all due to the persistence of Christian Obumseli's family. His family hired an attorney who had been persistently investigating the case because of, you guys know, the authorities pretty much ceased all really much of an investigation and more so tried to close the case. But Christian Toby's family was not having it, and they did their own investigation, found out additional information. If you watched my prior video on this, and there was pretty significant amount of incriminating evidence that showed that Courtney was the aggressor and had been habitually abusing Christian, and Christian was tolerating it because she was his preference. Well, now she was arrested, and her attorney is having a little temper tantrum, saying that the defense is that Christian grabbed Courtney by the throat, and she had no choice but to defend herself, and she stabbed him in defense, and she said that he had been repeatedly stalking her for weeks after they had broken up. But I just, for some reason, don't believe her story, because the friends that were around these two say that they have witnessed repeatedly this woman hitting him and being violent towards him. And there's actually a video. I think I played it. I played it in my last part 2 of this story, if you want to go back to that video. And there's a video of her being aggressive out in the public and walking away, and he's trying to chase her to console her. He looks to me, just based on the statements from the friends and from that video that I seen, he looks like a kind of guy that's a gentle kind of guy, that's not like an abusive type, aggressive type of man. And although some people would say men in the Nigerian community can be somewhat aggressive, I don't think this particular man here was that kind of person, so I don't believe her theory. Also, there was indication that she had a drug problem. So when she gets under the influence, she tends to be more violent. And there was a prior man that we talked about in prior videos that she had basically broke this man's jaw, the prior guy that she dated. She broke a man's jaw because, allegedly, because she found out that he was married, and he didn't tell her when they were dating, and he had a good experience of getting his jaw broken by her. So she has a prior history of being violent. I think other boyfriends have said she's been violent. So just based on that accumulation of statements from people, it just appears, my opinion is, she was the aggressor, and that she, in my opinion, intentionally took this guy out because she couldn't control her anger, and she was under the influence of some type of drug or alcohol at the time. You guys got to go back to the videos. There's a video that I did, I think the very first video, where she's on the live before she takes this man's life, and you could see that she was intoxicated with something. So it appears that when she's under the influence of something, she can be pretty violent. So let's get into this little article we have here. A Florida OnlyFans model accused of stabbing her boyfriend months ago has been criminally charged. So finally, justice is going to start to be served. I don't know, though, if she'll be convicted, though. That's the thing. According to Miami-Dade State Attorney Kathy Rundle. Interesting. Courtney Tailor, a 25-year-old known online as Courtney Tailor, was spotted covered in blood on the balcony of her luxury Miami high-rise on Sunday, April 3rd, after police said she stabbed her 27-year-old boyfriend, christianobumseli, once in the chest. Wow. Okay, the different locations keep varying. Somebody said before, the family said it was in the neck. Now, this article is saying in the chest. So I don't know which one is true. You guys be the judge. I don't know if it was the neck or chest. Who knows? But apparently she stabbed him to a point where he died. No charges were filed at the time after police characterized the slaying as self-defense. So that was initially what they were trying to do. The police were trying to close this case outright. They really were not interested in prosecuting. They had a black man with a white woman, and she cried saying she was being attacked. They believed her, and they were trying to close the case. But the family, nope, they persistently did their own investigations, submitted it to the authorities, and I believe that's why they had no choice but to investigate. So Rundle's said, so after they tried to close it and say it was self-defense, Rundle's office, which is the prosecutor, and let's see, Rundle's office is the state attorney. So they're not the county attorney, the state attorney's handling it now. So the state attorney's office opened a review of the case that lasted nearly 4 months. So for 4 months, you guys, this woman was free, doing her own thing, living her best life. And they had to take 4 months to investigate this? That is, to me, is just a complete unacceptable miscarriage of justice. If he was a white man and he was stabbed by his white girlfriend, they would have had her arrested in jail while they did their investigation, because they usually do that. They'll usually try to charge the person with some petty little crime while they work up the case and file the murder charges. But for this one, they let this woman go scot-free, live her best life in rehab, do whatever she's doing. In Hawaii, mind you, a beautiful, tropical, beautiful, lovely, gorgeous Hawaii, while they're investigating. That to me just already seems odd, right? Okay. So Miami model will be arrested in connection to boyfriend stabbing death, the lawyer says. The sealed arrest warrant on second-degree murder. So she was charged with second-degree murder, and it is expected to be made public Thursday. That is tomorrow. Isn't that tomorrow, guys? Yeah, that's tomorrow. According to Rundle's office, police arrested Tailor in Hawaii Wednesday, according to her attorney, Frank Prieto. I am so happy she was arrested, though, because I was frustrated that this girl was going to get away with it and do it again to some other black man out there. That's why I really wanted her arrested, so that she doesn't feel like she's invincible and can continue to do this to men out there. We are completely shocked at Courtney's arrest based upon the clear evidence of self-defense in this matter. That is what her attorney is saying. Obumseli attacked her and choked her that evening. Courtney had no choice but to meet force with force, says Courtney's attorney. And he tells Fox News Digital Wednesday that Further, we are disappointed that the state attorney sought an arrest warrant in this matter. We have cooperated with the investigation from the beginning with both the state and the city of Miami Police Department. This attorney sounds like a whiny brat. He's pouting and whining because, his client was rightfully arrested. He said his client has always offered a self-surrender if charges were to be filed, and that she maintains the stabbing came in self-defense in response to domestic abuse. But all the different allegations leading up to this suggest that this woman is the aggressor, not him. So I don't believe her, you guys. You tell me if you believe her. So if you guys remember this video, so that was just a review. That was the video of her. Okay. We'll get to that one. This is a video. This is just a review, recap of the story, if you guys already heard this story. But that earlier video was of her when she was arrested, or not really arrested. They were just kind of lax when they first found her after the stabbing. And you could see how relaxed the officers were. They weren't in any form of a panic. They were just, seemed like they were just casual about this brutal murder that just took place. And it's just crazy, this story. And she's in blood, just, talking to her, fondling her little dog and stuff. It's just, this story was a mess. A heavily redacted police report states officers arrived at the couple's home around 5 p.m. in response to an aggravated battery call. They met a front desk supervisor who brought them up to the apartment, where police found Abumseli with a single stab wound to the torso. Oh, so you guys, before we all thought it was the neck because that's what the family said. But wow, he was actually stabbed in the torso. Dang. But let's watch this video, guys, because this was the video of her right before the stabbing, which makes me believe that she was in a violent frenzy. Based on what her friends have said, is that she gets pretty violent when she's under the influence also of drugs. And it looks like she's under the influence of something here. Right before the incident, you can see that she's wearing the exact same shirt that she was wearing during the stabbing. She's wearing it before the live. So take a look at her here and you can tell me. And we're just doing a little recap, just, you guys. I know we've already covered this months ago, but just a recap of what happened.
Where do I see myself in 5 years? That's a good question. Okay. I see myself with say 2 children. I say at least 1 kid. In like 5 years, I want 1 kid. Should I have a daughter or a son? I want like a kid. A few houses. Business going on. Maybe, probably not OF, but we'll see.
That, to me, the way she slurs her words and just her demeanor just makes it look to me like she's either intoxicated or in some way. I don't know if it was drugs or if it was alcohol, but it looks to me like she was under something, influence of something. But the initial decision not to charge Courtney outraged Abumseli's family. And you guys already heard the uproar regarding that and how the Black community was not really for trying to defend this man. Although the family is still mourning the untimely death of Mr. Abumseli, we believe that once a full investigation is done, Miss Clenny will be held to account for taking the life of Mr. Abumseli, their attorney Larry Handfield predicted at the time. And here's another picture of her, just a thirst trap. Miami model Courtney Clenny's lawyer says she is a domestic violence survivor. I do not believe that. I think that, unfortunately, Toby is a domestic violence victim. It kind of reminds me of that story with the celebrity. Oh gosh, his name escapes me. You guys put it in the chat. What's the guy's name who just did the trial for slander? I should know it, guys. I know I should. Don't beat me up in the chat. I don't know. I don't remember his name, but the guy that was that sued his ex-wife for lying about domestic violence. This reminds me of that. I think Christian was the victim. Christian's brother, Jeffrey Abumseli, argued that Clenny had not suffered any injuries in the altercation that would have justified her claim of self-defense. The bottom line is, it is clear Courtney is being treated differently because of her privilege as a wealthy white woman. That's what the brother said. Jeffrey Abumseli wrote on Instagram, within 24 hours following Toby's death, the detective on the case prematurely concluded this was not a crime of violence. And, you know, that makes sense. I mean, it feels like Courtney is more of a Karen. You know how Karens, they will always cry wolf and pretend that or claim that the Black man is trying to hurt them and stuff. I think that's what she did. You know, she used her Karen privilege to claim that she was being attacked by... I think, if anything, I think maybe Christian was trying to console her because she was acting irate. And of course, he was living in the common areas because they had broken up, allegedly. That's what the friends are saying, people are saying. And she just was irritated with seeing him and just wanted to get rid of him. She just wanted him to leave her alone. Understandably enough, he moved with her from Austin, so he had nowhere else to go. So I think that's why he came back to that house, not necessarily to bother her, but because he had nowhere else to go. You know, she moved him all the way out here from Texas to Florida, and then all of a sudden now she's kicking him out and he has nowhere else to go. And yeah, she was irritated with him, wanted him to stop coming around, probably lost respect for him, was under the influence of drugs, and was acting violent. And I think he was trying to console her. And I think that's when her being angry, and based upon the history of her behavior from what the friends are saying, I think she reacted in violence like she normally does and ended up stabbing him, unfortunately. It's so sad. And he bled out. Prieto, Clenny's defense attorney, has said his client killed Abumseli in self-defense and that he was mentally, emotionally, physically abusive with Courtney. Interesting. It's interesting how there's no evidence that supports this claim, though. I wonder what witnesses are going to testify to that. I think Courtney's going to probably be the one that will have to testify, unfortunately, in the case to push this theory that she was using self-defense. The tragic night, there was a physical altercation and Courtney had no choice but to defend herself, he told Fox News Digital days after the slaying. Now, Courtney has a lot of money. She's pretty affluent. So I'm pretty sure she hired a really good attorney. So this case could go either way. And given her Karen privilege, she could probably still easily walk. We shall see. A law enforcement source told Fox News Digital that Clenny was taken to the hospital under the Baker Act for a mental health evaluation after the incident. So once they say something like they want to commit self-conclusion, basically, or something like that, then they will, under the Baker Act in Florida, take them to a mental health facility instead of taking them to jail. Under the law, details about such hospitalizations are confidential. She was staying at a facility in Hawaii that treats PTSD. So this is before she was arrested. She was in Hawaii recently, being treated for PTSD related to the April incident when police arrested her on the Miami murder warrant, Prieto said Wednesday. I think she had PTSD because she still visualizes this man's death after she brutally stabbed him, and she can't get any peace of mind because she keeps seeing his the vision of him dying in front of her after she brutally killed him because of her insanity. I think this woman's crazy. That's just my opinion. It's an absolute injustice to charge a victim of domestic violence and human trafficking with a crime. And I don't know where they get this allegation about human trafficking, you guys. This woman voluntarily was doing OnlyFans on her own before she even met this guy. So I just really am curious about what evidence they're going to produce in trial to prove a human trafficking allegation. That should be interesting. Courtney was clearly defending herself. We will vigorously defend Courtney and clear her of this unfounded, baseless charge. Now, this case is happening in Florida, and a lot of people know that the Florida has stand your ground. And this is a Karen-looking young lady, so the law already is on her side. So she could easily still walk. She could still easily walk. So we shall see what happens in this case. But I just wanted to give you guys an update on it. Let's see if there's anything else we can find on this story. Let's see. I think that's it, guys. Let's see what you guys have to say, if you have anything else to say. But I think it's good that at least she's being arrested. But I really don't feel optimistic about a jury convicting her. I think she's going to go on the stand, you guys, and she's going to cry her little Karen tears. And she is going to put on a drama show. And she's going to probably get off. But let's, maybe she won't, though, because I think her friends are going to testify, but I think she's going to put on this drama show, and she could easily get off. But anyways, let's hear some more information that I found here. 4 months after fatally wounding her boyfriend with a single stab to the chest in their luxury Miami high-rise apartment, OnlyFans model Courtney Tailor was arrested Wednesday. That was today, you guys. She was just arrested. Wow, this is fresh news. She was just arrested today, you guys, on murder charges for second degree. Courtney is now 26, so it looks like she had a birthday since this incident. She was taken into custody at a rehab facility in Hawaii where she was receiving treatment for substance abuse and post-traumatic stress disorder and charged with second-degree murder. I'm trying to find, here's this part here. Okay. We are completely shocked at her arrest. Oh, there's a part here that I was going to get into. Okay. Although Courtney's family and counsel maintain she acted in self-defense, a Rolling Stone investigation published in May revealed the self-described fitness model and her boyfriend had a troubled relationship marred by Courtney's ongoing addiction issues and physical abuse of Obumseli. So see, there has been history of her having addiction problems and abusing this man in public. She would literally be hitting this guy in public. Friends seen it. There was a video of it. So, I mean, she may, with that evidence being presented in a trial, if the jury is fair, you guys, if they're fair, she could be convicted, but we'll see. She's going to put on those Karen tears. So this case could go either way. Friends of the couple said Courtney, who posted online under the pseudonym Courtney Tailor, was an aggressive partner with a long history of domestic violence, regularly leaning into the toxic girlfriend persona to explain away her behavior. And she did admit that she was a toxic girlfriend on one of the interviews, even before Obumseli died. And like I said, there was a history of her breaking the jaw of one of her boyfriends, and there was another boyfriend that came out and said she was abusive to him. So she has a pattern of being abusive. So that's not going to be good evidence against her. I can summarize it as her always having these manic episodes, dragging him into it, and him trying to be like, calm down, calm down. A friend who knew the couple when they resided in Austin. Oh, somebody had poor grammar here. I think they meant the couple when they resided in Austin, told Rolling Stone shortly after Obumseli's death. Okay, so they're saying that she was the toxic girlfriend, that she would have these manic episodes, and she would drag him into it, and he would be the one that was trying to calm her down all the time. That was how it is. So if this is how people are seeing this relationship repeatedly play out. Why all of a sudden now would Abumseli just turn around and start trying to kill her? I don't believe the story. At the time, Prieto told Rolling Stone that the couple had a tumultuous relationship and claimed Abumseli was a gaslighter who was mentally and physically abusive toward Clenny. Okay, that's her claim. That's her claim through her attorney who's saying that. Hanfield, the Abumseli family lawyer, denied all claims of physical violence and shared that the police had been called to the couple's apartment numerous times due to Clenny's behavior, not due to Abumseli's. But they were called to that house because Courtney was the aggressor. If there was any evidence to support that he was abusive towards her, he would have been hauled off to jail. Of course he would. Him being a black man with a white woman, yeah, he would have been arrested. So fast it would make your head spin, he said. Clenny will soon be extradited back to Miami to face trial. So yeah, based on people's statements and friends who've seen this couple interact, her prior dating history, her drug addictions and issues with that, I personally think she was the aggressor. I personally think, this is like typical domestic violence incidents, where they first they can start off verbally abusive. Then they start off maybe punching the wall or throwing items. Then they start hitting you. Then it just progresses to more violent actions. And then finally it gets to the ultimate violent act where they take the person's life. It progressively gets worse. So this is the theory that I see, that she had been repeatedly abusing this guy over, they've been dating for a little under 2 years. So she had been abusing this guy for over 2 years. Of course, he's under 2 years. He's been tolerating it because she's his preference, which was wrong on his end. He pretty much risked his life knowing this woman was physically abusive, and he should have walked away, but he didn't. Like most domestic violence victims, he stayed. And the violence became progressively worse till the final act of her taking his life. That is my theory. Do I think she'll be held accountable? Who knows? I know there will be a lot of evidence coming out that shows that she had been repeatedly violent and had drug issues, and maybe even a prior boyfriend will come and testify. I know the boyfriend that had his jaw broke has passed away, so unfortunately he won't be able to testify, but I think another boyfriend that she dated was questioned and had said that she had been violent, so he might testify. But again, it's her word against a black man's word, so she has the stronger argument for now. I know she's going to go on the stand and she's going to put on a complete Hollywood dramatic performance of her crying and saying she was going to be murdered and all this stuff. So we shall see it play out, guys. I'll continue to follow the story and give updates because I think this story is just interesting. What do you guys think? I feel indifferent towards this case. Hi, Coco. I hope I said your name right. Hi, I'm so happy to see you in the chat, Coco. Thank you for saying you were going to send this to me. Yeah, I saw this one earlier today, but I was going to wait to talk about it until later today. But yeah, I know, Ann Cole, that you're indifferent to it, and you have every right to be. A lot of black women are, rightfully so. I felt the same way at first. I did. But given my heart of empathy, I can't stay mad for too long. I'm just an empath, guys. So even though I was a little heartbroken by this guy for a while for what he said about black women, eventually my hurt subsided and I began to feel empathy for a lost soul that lost his life prematurely and overlooked the horrible things he said, because that's just my nature, guys. I can't stay mad at people for too long. I've never been able to do that. So if you don't like this story, you don't have to watch this one, but I will continue to cover it because I feel empathy for a human life that was lost. Regardless of what he said, I don't feel that this human life should have been tragically ended the way it was. He was only 27 years old. He never got to live out his dreams. And even if he may not have liked my kind, I wouldn't have associated with him, but I still think he should get justice. Would I have went out and protest for him? No. But I'm glad that his family was persistent and they did what they had to do to get justice for their family member. And I think I should still cover the case because, hey, he's a human life and he deserves justice. But I understand your position, Anko, and a lot of women feel the same way you feel. So I totally understand. And she says, I think she murdered him out of rage, but it's strange how he didn't stop her. He was a buff guy. Right, Anko. I think he was more gentle. I've really looked at his nature and kind of looked through his social media and based and also in conjunction with some of the things the friend said. And I just gathered that this guy was more of like the peacemaker. He wasn't like a violent type. I don't think he really even liked arguing. I just think he tolerated a lot of stuff from her because she was his white preference, and he lowered him standards because, oh, she was everything he wanted in the white population, the white snow bunny preference. So these type of men, they're willing to put up with whatever, you guys, beatings, whatever. They don't care what it is. I mean, he trash talked about black women and how, we parade around and twerk or whatever he was talking about on one of his Twitters or whatever he was talking about. But he had the nerve to date a woman that was an OnlyFans, something he would never have tolerated from a black woman. And this is a problem that we see with a lot of these gentlemen who date out of their ethnicity, who have a hatred towards their self, which is quite sad, actually. Um, but yeah, I do think that's why he didn't stop her. Anko, he never really had a nature of doing that, even in the prior violent incidents. He would just kind of try to calm the situation down, try to calm her down while she's acting violently. And I think this time it got out of control, like normal, typical domestic violence incidents. It gets progressively worse over time if you continue to stay in that abusive type of relationship. Yeah, Anko, she was definitely in Hawaii when they arrested her. She's still there. They're trying to extradite her back to Florida. So she hasn't been sent yet. She has to appear in court. If she waives, the hearing for their extradition, then they'll just go ahead and send her back to Florida. But if she doesn't waive it, they'll have to do a trial to prove her identity to that she's in fact Courtney Clenny. So it'll be up to her whether she's going to waive it or not. But yeah, she is still in Hawaii as of now. Bet he didn't see it coming, like Anko said. He's a big guy and could have put up a defense against her. Yeah, I don't think he did in Coco. I don't think he's seen it coming. Because he's been with this girl for a little under 2 years, right? He's used to her being violent when she gets drunk or gets under the influence of type of drugs. So he thought it was going to be just any other day of her being violent. He was going to console her, calm her down, and they were going to go about their regular day. But this time she got out of control and ended up stabbing him. And I think even while he was passing away, he was shocked, in total shock. Like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe she did this to me. I think he didn't even think his little white snow bunny could ever do something like this. You know what I mean? Because they have this false persona of the white snow bunny being this passive, frail woman who would never react in violence. You have this, generalization of the snow bunny being this frail, dainty kind of woman who would never be violent in a way that would take your life. You know what I mean? I know she was already violent in the past, but he never thought it would get to this point. So I think when she did it, I think he was probably in total shock as he was fading away. He probably couldn't even believe that she did this to him. So it's very sad and tragic to even imagine what he was thinking. Yeah, thank you, Aqua Sun. I was trying to figure out the name, guys. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I need to go to bed. Yes, it was Johnny Depp. This story reminds me of Johnny Depp. I think she's lying. I think she's the abusive one. I think just like Johnny Depp, Toby was the domestic violence victim. That's what I think. This is a similar, analogous story to that, but this is one where tragically it got out of hand and Toby lost his life. That's what I think. She feels remorse, guilty for killing him. Do you think so, Anko? I don't think she feels. Well, I don't know, Anko. Who knows? Maybe she does. That's probably why she's getting therapy for PTSD, because she has to see this guy's, see the visions of him dying before her. She replays that day, replays the very moment he dies. And I think that's why she had to go to counseling, because she's constantly haunted by that tragedy. So yeah, Anko, who knows? I don't know if she feels empathy. The reason why I don't think so, Anko, is look at her self-defense. If she really felt any empathy, why don't she just own up to what she did and apologize? She's over here still claiming self-defense. She's tarnishing this guy's name, lying and claiming, allegedly, I'm thinking she's lying, that he was abusive and claiming that he was, she's a victim of human trafficking when that doesn't even make sense because she's on an OnlyFans parading around her body for the whole world to see. That's how she makes her income. That's how she got 2 million followers on Instagram, and I don't even know how many people on her OnlyFans. So the whole human trafficking claim doesn't even make sense based upon her lifestyle and her career. So that to me, based on that and her allegations and how she's tarnishing this guy's legacy, I don't think she's sorry based on just looking at her behavior. Hi, Anko. He became so docile around a white woman. Exactly, Anko. You are saying what I believe. Right. I think he became docile around her as a white woman because he had this false perception, like a lot of these men out here who like to date out their preferences. They think the black woman is the angry, aggressive, violent woman, right? And they think the white woman is this docile, frail woman who could never hurt him, would never take his life, right? That's what they think. So I think that's why he was so gentle around her and didn't think that she would ever do what she did. And probably up to his very death, even when she probably had the knife in her hand. She had the knife in her hand, probably said, "Don't come near me," was yelling and aggressive. And he, thinking, this is this white docile girl, she would never stab me. Come on, she's just having her little temper tantrums like she always has. And he walked up to her trying to console her, to say, "Honey, calm down, give me the knife." And she stabbed him. That's what I think happened. And Courtney is not a frail girl. She's actually very strong. I mean, she broke a man's jaw, and not just any typical man. This is a man that lifted a lot of weight. He was very strong. He had a lot of muscles. He was a big dude. And she lifts weights too. She's a tall, big woman. She's not just some frail woman. So she has some strength in her. So she can't really use that whole Karen theory, but she's going to, guys. She's going to use that. But I'm just saying, she's not a small, frail young lady. And it's possible he could have stopped her. Yeah, he could have stopped her, Anko, but I think in his mindset, he didn't imagine her to take his life. That's what I think. But guys, that's the update on this one. There's not much more to talk about. I just wanted to come talk to you guys about the update. There's going to be a lot more that unfolds, especially when the trial happens, but that's not going to be for another year. You guys know how slow these cases go, so they're probably going to have a trial next year, if we're lucky, if they don't drag it on even longer than that. And if we get any luck here, they might have it this year, but I highly doubt that it will. But we will come back and we will talk once they have the trial. Hopefully they will have it be a public trial so we can hear the testimony, because that would be interesting. But although he said a lot of bad things about black women, I forgive him, guys. I forgive him. Don't be mad at me, but I forgive him. I can't stay mad at people. I just can't. He's a human. His life still matters, and it's very sad that he died. He was taken because of his own preference. I think black men should learn from this, though. It's a lesson to black men that you cannot generalize people simply because of their ethnicity and think, oh, because you're dating out of your race or ethnicity or whatever you're doing, that this person is the cream of the crop. You have to judge people individually. You judge, the Lord says, you know someone by their fruit. You have to look at that person's character individually, their history of how they treat you, how they treat others, and you judge them on that, not because they're white or black or Mexican or Asian or whatever. It's how they treat you, how they treat other people. And that's something I think a lot of black men need to learn, because they think that, oh, if I did out of my ethnicity, I'm going to meet this amazing cream of the crop. And you might fall prey to being another christianobumseli. All right, guys, thank you. Let me know what you think about this story. God bless you all, and I love you all dearly.